Okay, week 3, we're talking about intentions. Anybody have any thoughts about intentions?
I do.
Okay.
Is it intentions about what you want to happen in your life, or intentions about pulling in spirits?
How about both? Okay, intentions are great, right? My grandmother used to say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The thing about intentions is that you have to also have action, right? So you have to put your intentions into effect. So your intentions with spirit are a little more directed, in that you really want to have it be, I intend to work with spirit for the highest and best, right? Highest and best is my intention. So then if we do intentions, you know, I could intend to be the greatest medium ever walk the planet Earth, right? Is that really useful? Not really. So what you have to do is you have to find a balance of your intentions and your actions with them. So when you intend to work with spirit, you have to lay out the rules, right? I talk about boundaries and expectations and the whole 9 yards. So just so you know, intentions are powerful, right? But how you can't just intend to do something. You have to put something behind it, right? You have to put physical work into it. So if you intend to improve your mediumship, what do you need to put with that? Practice, time and energy, meditation. They all work together, right? They all make it easier for you to become better. The more I sit and I am quiet with spirit, the more I hear, the more I see, the more I understand. I'm facilitating this group, right? I'm only 1/10 of what you're going to learn. Your guides on the other side are your better teachers. And you just have to quiet yourself and listen to them and be willing to take their advice. Sometimes spirit gives you advice that you go, yeah, I don't want to do that. And you want to have a hissy fit, right? And you go, no, I don't want to do that. It has been in those moments that that's a growth spot for me. And sometimes you have to take a leap of faith and say, okay, spirit, I'll go with you on this one. And then you follow it through, and then, 6 months later you're going, oh boy, now I understand, right? We don't always know what's going on. So intentions are really powerful, but it's not everything, right? It's piecing it together with your spiritual practice. What is your spiritual practice? Do you spend time alone, sitting with spirit, sitting in the power, as some people call it? Or do you just kind of go through life going, oh yeah, whatever happens, happens, right? So I challenge you to set the intention of spending 5 minutes every day with spirit. Could be 5 minutes in the morning, it could be 5 minutes at lunchtime, it could be 5 minutes before you go to bed. And in that 5 minutes, I want you to start trusting what you're feeling and saying, Spirit, let me know what I need to know for the next day. Or what do I need to know for today? What's the most important thing I need to understand? If you have more time, great, ask 2 questions. But keep it really simple, and then let your mind understand whatever it is the Spirit says. There are times that I get that, and then I start to think about grocery shopping and 4 other things. I write those 4 other things down. It has nothing to do with Spirit at the time that I write it down. But there are times that then later in the day or the next day or the next week, I look at that list and I go, oh. And it makes sense. So it doesn't have to make sense to you right in the here and now. So I gave each of you an animal. You have a homework assignment with that animal. Yes, they're yours to keep. They're yours, okay? That animal, right now, here and now, at this point in time, is something you need to learn from. So go to handy dandy Google and go, what does a lobster mean? What does a penguin mean? What does a stag mean, right? Because those are the ones that we have right now. So why do I ask you to do that? Because sometimes Spirit is giving you information that you need to know. And now you see it, and now you understand it, and you read it, and you go, oh my, now I get it. That makes sense.
I want to answer something. I just thought of something.
Okay.
About the stag. I was watching a scene from a movie, Queen. Have you ever seen that movie, Queen?
No.
About Queen and this is like right around the time of Princess Diana's death.
Uh-huh.
Well, there's a scene where she's outside in the country, and she's all alone. Her car just hit a rock, so she's waiting for help to get her out
Mhm.
where she is. But in the meantime, she's just sitting there reflecting on what has happened, and she starts crying, and all of a sudden she sees a stag that has like a 7-corner stag, and she's looks at the beauty of the stag. Can I use something like that? I mean, I know you're asking.
Yeah, whatever it means and appeals to you. What does it mean to you? What, if I got a lobster, I was like, oh, dinner, right? But that's not what it means. Lobsters have a very specific meaning, and stags have multiple meanings. But there's something about that stag that you need to understand and where you are in your spiritual journey. That's why I have people pull these animals, because sometimes those animal guides give you something that you understand and can move forward. That make sense? Perfect. Hi. Sorry, we started already.
No, I'm late, sorry about that.
That's okay. Well, here you go. You have a choice. Put your hand in here and take one. Don't look.
Okay,
What did you pull?
a little fox.
A fox. Okay, so you have a homework assignment tonight. And you're going to research what a fox means and how it affects, how it relates to you and your spiritual journey at this point.
What does this mean? What affects me?
That spirit animal, the fox. So
What do we do?
you keep them now.
Oh, cool.
He's speaking to you spiritually.
Cool.
And I didn't pull one, so I guess I should pull one, huh? It's only fair that I pull one and find one. Oh. Oh, I pulled a fox too, with a broken tail. I got a broken one.
He didn't have a tail?
He doesn't have a tail. So, intentions, we're recording, so you'll catch up.
Okay.
Intentions are always powerful, okay? So, that's a short little topic, right? Intentions. So where was I gonna go with the rest of this? So how many of you have been feeling that it's real heavy lately?
How big?
Heavy. That just everything seems real heavy.
Yes.
Like emotionally heavy.
Okay, I'm sorry, if I missed it, just skip me.
That's okay. No, the whole idea of that everything seems so intense and heavy and very burdensome, right? Is it, because it can't just be me that's feeling this.
No, I feel it.
Okay, so when that happens and we're in Mercury in retrograde, it's kind of a neat kind of thing to understand that celestially we're affected. And it's part of who we are and we understand. When it's a new moon versus a waxing moon, the energy's different, right? So just things to keep in mind when you're working with spirituality. Okay. If you have one question you wanted to ask about mediumship, what would that be?
About mediumship?
Mhm.
If I thought somebody came to me in a meditation
Mhm.
and sat down, this was last week, and sat down opposite me, cross-legged, it was a very peaceful feeling. So then I meditated at home, and I thought, what should I call you? I said, should I call you Paul? He said, you can call me Paul. I said, is that your name? He said something like, it was mentally, it doesn't really matter, but you can call me Paul. And so it wasn't really his name, but I could call him that. Is there like a name? Is there supposed to be like a presence? Are you supposed to like find out who these people in spirit are? Or what does that mean?
So I know some of my guides and I don't know some of my other guides. So guide-wise, my main gatekeeper is my grandfather. Okay? And I know him and I know his energy and he's always with me.
Okay.
Okay? I know him. I have a Russian violinist that I only hear the violin
Oh,
and I feel the emotion or whatever he needs me to know. Okay? I've never gone any further than that. I have a joy guide that I know. She's a little girl. She's probably 6 or 7 years old. She's wearing a white pinafore with a bright floral dress underneath. She's got black patent leather shoes and she's got white knee socks. One is down by her ankle and one is up by the knee. Okay? The black patent leather shoes are scuffed. She's got pigtails that are kind of cockeyed. And she has a porcelain doll in one hand by the foot and a frog in the other. And she throws the frog at me when I need to see something. So those are my guides that I know. Other guides come and go. If
do you ask for guides to come to you, or do they just come to you?
I basically, when I sit in my quiet time, my time for spirit, I look at spirit and I say, whoever needs to come forward, whoever's highest and best for me, come forward. Okay? That being said, I don't know who will come through. They just do. But I know my grandfather's always there. Now, there are other people that know who their gatekeepers are, and they're different people. Some have Indian guides, some have horses. You know, so think about, you know, there's different people, different animals that will come forward. Knowing their names is not necessarily important.
And so if I wanted to meditate, I guess this is what I would like to know. Is it wrong to ask for Paul or whoever this person was to come forward? Or is that like, almost like stepping on their toes? You're getting them involved when you don't know if they want to be involved. I don't know how that goes, you know?
I don't see a problem asking for a specific guide. If they're available, they'll come through. If not, I have a very dear friend. Her name was Lori. She passed away, oh my God, 12 years ago. I only see Lori when one of our mutual friends is in trouble. And she steps in front of me and says the person's name. So like if our friend Lenore, I pick up the phone and I call Lenore and I go, hey Lenore, what's going on? And she's like, oh. Okay, that's the only time I ever really hear from Lori, except for when I'm looking for parking spaces. All of a sudden, magically, I have the front row parking space in any place I want. I have a parking angel. I've decided that that's okay. When I see that I get a great parking space, thanks, Lori. Now my husband we get a parking space, he'll thank her. Or he came home one day and he's like, I got a great parking space. I did thank Lori. Okay? So I think spirit guides are more impressed and more needing the gratitude than they are being called. I'm going to say something and it's going to be kind of controversial because some people say, oh, I sat and Mary Magdalene came to me, or Gandhi came to me, or this one came to me, or this one came to me. I'm not saying that they don't come, but that's a private gift between you and that person, and you should never go bragging, oh yeah, I hung out with Jesus yesterday. Right? If you do, that's cool. Keep it here. Because you don't want to be bragging about that kind of stuff, in my head. Anybody else have a thought on that?
Well, I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
Spirit guides. What is your feeling about using a pendulum to ask the questions as far as their need or to confirm that they're spirit guides? You've used pendulums before.
Okay, so in church, when we're up on the platform, we can't use that kind of stuff. What we do in our own private practice, some people do runes, some people do tarot, some people do pendulums, some people do tea leaves. If it works for you and you feel comfortable using that tool, by all means, go ahead and use it. But just know that when you're on the platform, and I have to do that caveat every time a tool comes up, because I have to be very clear because of where I'm teaching, and she would yell at me if I didn't. Okay, so there are certain things, but yeah, absolutely, we should probably do a pendulum class where it's just you just kind of learn how to deal with a pendulum. Anything works as a pendulum as long as it's hanging. It could be a key, it could be a necklace, it could be a stone. I use a necklace a lot of times.
You know, putting aside church,
Mhm.
when you do it on for your personal use,
The times I use pendulum, it's pretty clear cut. Tarot, if you understand some of the esoteric nature of the cards, can blow your mind. Runes, I don't resonate with. Tea leaves, I've seen people read tea leaves. I've seen people do numerology and astrology. Why do you think I pull those things? Because they're pieces of information that if you understand, then you get that, and then you can use it to convey a message. You know, the whole idea of past lives, they're still investigating. They don't know how to quite rectify that, right? So we can't lecture about it, and we can't teach it as our mainstay. But what we do, I mean, I've had a past life regression. They're cool, they're fun. You know, there's an element of this that should be fun. And don't let it. In here, I have to have a certain structure, and I have to have a certain protocol. So if you start talking about angels in your messages, I'm gonna kind of question it, right? Because we're not supposed to, from the pulpit, give messages from angels. But I've given probably one of the most evidential messages from the platform about an angel to a 16-year-old girl who has Down syndrome, right? Where I went and I said, okay, I have this angel for you, and I described this angel to the detail, and she turns to her mother, louder than anything, and goes, see, I'm not crazy, she sees her too.
Wow.
Okay, that to me was pure, but it's not every day, right? So we deal with facts, right? What we know, who, what, when, where, why. That's why I kind of said last time, who, what, when, where, why. Asking those questions lets the brain, the side of your brain that keeps you safe and isn't comfortable dealing with this unknown, unseen person that you're communicating with, because you have to use your imagination to open up to that.
Like we can ask us or to spirits, what happens when we see an animal?
When I see an animal, I've seen animals all the time.
How do you do the who, what, when, where, and why with an animal when you, you know?
I talk to people in Russian. The people are talking to me in Russian, and I'm understanding everything. It's about the energy. You feel what the animal feels. So this is a really good one when Randy's here. When Randy's here, we should have her,
I'm the type we have an animal communicator come to
because when I deal with animals, I see the animal, and the animal isn't talking English, but I am clearly on an energetic level understanding what the animal needs me to understand or say to make it evidential. Because I've given where I've said to a dog, there was a dog, and to me, dogs are big, medium, small, right? That's it. I see a generic shape of a dog, large, medium, small. Don't ask me breeds, I don't get it, right? I'm not an animal communicator in that sense, but I can communicate with an animal when needed. And I'm like, there's this medium-sized dog, and it was a mutt, and it misbehaved and did something on the kitchen floor all the time, right? And I'm just letting it flow out of my mouth, right? So I'm trusting spirit, and they're like, oh my God. Yes, that was Lucy, and she was a bad girl, right? Okay. You had to make a decision about Lucy's health, right? She was not doing well. and you were really upset about making this decision and you don't know if you made the right decision. And she's like, how do you know that? Dog's telling me. It's okay. You did the right thing. You've been waiting to get another dog. You haven't found the right dog. Lucy's looking for the dog. You will find the dog soon. And then, love, light. Every bit of that message was evidential. And it just happens. And at first the first time you talk to an animal in spirit, it's kind of weird and disconcerting. But then when it happens and you get it, it's like, oh, it's no different than talking to Uncle Joe or Grandma.
I've given a message from a spider.
A spider?
I have a weird question.
Really? Weird? You? I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's easy.
Doc, I just realized this. Yesterday my boss took the day off suddenly, and then today she said that she had put her dog. She's had this dog for 7 weeks. And I was seeing the dog over and I'm wondering if that's her dog, it's her energy. I've been dealing with her. Wondering. I saw her dog, but she lives in Syracuse, so I don't know how the distance.
There's no distance.
So spirit knows when you're open, right? So if I'm going to use you as an example because I can use you. So Tiffany has a dog that passes away, right? And the dog wants to say hello to Tiffany, and Tiffany's oblivious to everything, right? So the dog's going to look and say, okay, who's around Tiffany that's a medium? Oh, Jean over here is a medium. So I'm going to go and try and connect with Jean to let Tiffany know I'm okay. So maybe you don't, but you can tell the dog it's okay. You were loved, and I can't help you, but move along.
She mentioned that it was a hard decision for her.
Sometimes it's just being there and saying, you know, it's a tough decision, but good for you to be able to come to a decision that you're at peace with and leave it be. You don't have to tell her you're a medium. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been in the line in the supermarket and someone behind me there's something going on with them, and I turn and I say something, and the person will look at me and go, you know, my Aunt Betty used to say that to me all the time, and I really needed to hear that today. Aunt Betty worked through me in a way that I didn't have to say, I'm a medium. Here, I got your Aunt Betty here. And no, I just turned and said something that resonated and made her feel better. And so that's what happens a lot of times.
So, the dog that I saw, like, even though it's in Syracuse, it could be drawn to me.
Because you know, it's the connections.
So connecting.
The connections. You're probably the closest medium to that person that they know, communicates with.
I should ask her what her dog looked like.
And you know what? That might be healing for her to say, oh, let me show you a picture of my baby, right? And share in the grief. You don't have to tell everybody everything, right? There are a lot of times that I edit what Spirit says because I can tell the person's not ready for the wave of emotion. that sometimes all we do is plant seeds. And sometimes we water them, and sometimes we get to see the person actually reap the bouquet of flowers, right? And have that peace that they've needed for so long. Any questions? Okay, I knew there was another one in there. Oh, here comes trouble.
So recently, like how do you, like I can go and say, okay, I got a message for you or whatever, you know, and then, but for myself, it's like I rely on somebody else to tell me, okay, this and this and this and this and this, instead of like trusting myself for myself, you know what I mean? Like
That's-
I would give more, like say you go to Lilydale and talk to somebody and then they're like, okay, this is gonna happen, this, and this, you know? And it's like, why don't you just do this for yourself? You know what I mean? And why can I do it for other people, but then it's like, am I making this up? And, you know?
So, Randy, who's coming, that's 2 weeks from now, isn't it? She'll be here on the 10th. Randy and I have a thing about, can I have a professional courtesy, right? And we bounce things off of each other. So even me, I don't always trust what I'm sensing. And because I have some really strict boundaries, I don't want spirit to tell me certain things. Okay, so that's kind of that boundary with spirit can get in the way. But it's also our ego gets in the way. I can remember when spirit was telling me, yeah, you're gonna be the teacher of teachers, and this is the most important thing you're gonna ever do, and I'm like, what? I don't want to be a teacher. I want to have fun, and I want to do mediumship, and I want to be I don't want to be the teacher, right? And then as time came on and I understood what an honor that is, right? I had to come to that. So of course, somebody had to first plant the damn seed, then a whole bunch of people had to water the thing, to the point where I'm now teaching. Okay? So, you don't always know, and now I listen to spirit in a lot of ways. And when I find that I've got a strong resistance to something, I know it's spirit talking to me, and it's about growth, right? I don't want to do something, I don't want it to be that way, it's gonna be that way. And so I have to understand and reflect on that. And sometimes energetically I screw the pooch. I'll admit it. Not 100% accurate. And it's okay. It's in those mistakes that we make that we learn and we grow. If we came here and lived a perfect life, how boring would that be? Okay, I really don't want to live some of the excitement that I had in the past. Okay, I learned some hard lessons. And when I didn't learn them the first, the third, or the 15th time, I've learned over time that the first time I get a lesson, it's easy. If I pay attention and I take care of that lesson, I'm done. That's checked off the list. I'm one more step closer to Spirit Guide School. Right? But if I resist the lesson and I fight spirit, I may escape that lesson, but then the lesson comes back, but it comes back 10 times harder. 10 times more impactful. That make sense? Does that answer your question, more importantly?
Well, it's like you said, you need to have somebody to rely on, so maybe it's like, you know, maybe it's just, we need that little piece of feedback to see if we're on, you know, we're on the right track or whatever.
So, Randy and I have an agreement. And it's the let's get real conversation. So if either one of us has an ego problem all of a sudden, the other one is allowed to say, we need to have a conversation about that ego of yours. Right? But that's also the relationship of we can actually help each other when we're unsure of a situation. What is your sense on something? I've already written down what my sense is. I just want her feedback on it. I don't tell her what it is. Because a lot of times I'll go, I need your feedback on a situation. And she'll go, okay, yeah, what is it that you want to know? And I said, I have this situation, XYZ. And I just need feedback on it, XYZ. And then she'll give me something and I'll look at the paper and I'll go, okay, thank you. You just confirmed everything that I was feeling. Because sometimes we think our ego, right? Our ego, right? Yeah, that's really cool, right? And this is gonna happen, right? And our ego goes, yeah. And then you kind of just want to balance that and say, is that really coming forward? Is this really something? Or is that my ego out of control? So there's that. So you just need to understand when spirit really wants something for you, it's going to happen one way or another. And sometimes when something isn't happening for you, you're the miracle that somebody else is praying for. Things aren't going right in your life, right? I don't know if they are or aren't, but I'm just using that.
Things are.
I don't know. I'm using you as a theoretical. I'm not saying things aren't going well. So, and you want something to happen for you, like your mediumship to go to the next level, and it's just not happening for you. But you're sitting in a development circle, and you're working on it, and you're struggling, and that's normal, right? But Tiffany here may need to see you in that struggle to really understand and believe in herself. Or Jean might need you to ask the question she's been so afraid to ask. Not that I could ever think that Jean would be afraid to ask a question. But do you see how that works? Sometimes it's not a big thing, but it is a big thing to somebody else. What's you got? You cold? You want the air off? 'Cause I'm hot. Huh?
Not just right.
See? Everybody else is just right. All right.
You know, there's another thing too. I don't know. Is it ever wrong? Okay, if a person somewhat senses that there's just spirits around, then you just sense that and just accept that, right? Is it ever wrong to? Last week I said something about a person who had died, and I had a little conversation to say, you know, you did have an accident and you died, your body died, you didn't die, your body died. And you said you don't like to tell a person to move on, is that what you said? Something like that?
I don't believe that I have to tell body spirits to cross over.
But
I feel-
would you talk to them just like, I talked to this person, just like they were still here, you know,
That's how I talk to spirit. I mean, so when I go, let's say I go to this person over here and I say, can I come to you? I actually over here have a whole conversation going on, even though I'm talking.
okay.
And I'm talking to the spirit. I'm talking with them, getting information, having a whole conversation and understanding so that I can tell a story to the person that I'm giving a message to.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? So telling spirits that they have to cross over to me doesn't come in my belief system. Okay? Do I believe that there are negative entities and
That's the thing. That's the part that probably gets me. Are there negative people, because they're obviously, somebody's positive or negative, when they're here, they're leaving their body, they're still the same.
right?
Negative or
But
positive.
but there's negative and there's evil. I don't think is as prevalent as people think it is.
Okay.
Do I believe that it exists? Yes, because I have sat in holding space for somebody that's been working with that kind of energy. But that doesn't happen in my world because I don't believe in those entities coming to me.
Okay.
I don't believe that they exist in my world.
Right.
Because I have a strong spirit band, right? My guides are all here. And then there's 7 guides and there's 7 guides, right? I got an army behind me. And they know what I can and cannot deal with.
Do you think we all do though? We all have a bunch of spirits around
We
us?
all have an army behind us.
Waiting to help us and do help us. We
Yeah,
don't even
all
know.
we have to do is ask. All we have to do is ask.
Can we tell you about a one that I didn't ask and I got pushed into real quick? It was a Christmas Eve, I was leaving a party, I'm going by a little town somewhere, I forgot where, and I'm looking right into a church, and it must be the midnight mass, and I had slowed down, I'm looking into the window, now I'm passing the driveway, and I kept thinking to go into the parking lot, and I kept feeling like, you know, go on in there, I don't want to go in there. This is the argument in my head, and I'm not always like this, okay? And I'm trying to go, and they're going, turn into it. I don't want to turn into there. And I'm starting to go. Now I'm almost right past the whole driveway area. I go back and go into the side door, and there was an elderly woman between the outside and the inside doors. There was a little stairway, and she was having a problem. And I ended up going into this church, telling everybody in there she had an issue. I'm sitting in the pews. They have an ambulance come, and people are asking me, who are you? I said, I just happened to be, you know, I felt drawn to come on in. I said, that woman's lucky. You know, they said, I said, she had somebody watching over her. They said, yeah, you. But something pulled, I never had a feeling like that.
That's trusting spirit. And
Yeah.
we've all I've had experiences.
But never had.
You know, yesterday afternoon I picked up the phone and I called a girlfriend of mine and I said, okay, what's going on? And she's like, how did you know? I'm like, Spirit told me to call you, so I'm calling. Talk. Spill it. I'm not gonna hang up until you tell me what's going on. And she did, and it wasn't terrible, it was just stressful for her, and she just didn't know how to process it. But she was really struggling with the fact that I knew. And it's like, I'm not dialing in and going, what's going on with her, right? It was that Spirit just said, call. Because it was her brother who was like, call my sister.
Did you have to learn how and practice how like I'm not really always a trusting person, so I don't necessarily want to let everybody in. You know,
You don't have to let everybody, you don't have to let every spirit in, you just have to define your rules. My girlfriend's brother comes through when there's trouble. My girlfriend Lori comes through when one of my friends is in trouble.
That's kind of cool. Now, did you have to develop that, or did that,
I built a rule.
you did what?
I built a rule.
Okay.
Okay, if there's a problem with, I had to put a rule on my husband's father. If you tell me, are you paying attention one more time, I'm going to come over to the other side and strangle you. I understand and I see and I pay attention, but your boys aren't doing anything,
Yeah.
right? I don't have any power here. Go bother somebody else,
Okay.
okay? And spirit goes, okay,
Right.
we know. 'Cause my husband's father never comes to me and says, are you paying attention anymore? Because of the rules. So you
So,
can't just make hard and fast rules and everything is gonna be fine and dandy. You're gonna come into situations and you're gonna go, ooh, that's uncomfortable, I didn't think of that. I need another rule.
and you know, and I guess my thought is if something has happened around me, okay, you know, we all know that if we're experiencing things and other people around us are not aware of it, it makes you feel like there's might be something wrong. Okay, what am I doing? You know, am I okay? So I don't always tell people things that happen. But so when something, this for instance happened to me, somebody opened my bedroom door, okay? First I heard this scratching on the door.
Yeah, we talked about this last
Yeah.
time.
Well, I felt, okay, so what I try to concentrate on is I think it's probably my mother, it's probably somebody who loves me, that's just trying to get my attention.
All you have to do is say stop.
And that's what I did say. I said, but this is my personal area. You can't, you know, you can't come in my,
There you go.
yeah.
So-
And it, you know, second time I just heard the scratching on the door and then nothing. And I said, thank you for not coming in. You know, my budget, you know.
Right. So,
So that's the kind of rules you're setting up, right?
yes,
Okay.
those are exactly the
Okay,
rules
got
that you
it.
need to set.
Just wanted to-
Okay. So, I'm gonna, what time is it? Does anybody need a restroom break?
Fine, but they would be in 30 seconds.
Is she gonna be here in 30 seconds? Okay, because I'll do a meditation. So I'm gonna stop the, and then she's late today.